Thanksgiving, my very favorite holiday to cook for sure. I don't do turkey a lot, and I love to roast a whole bird. And what I do is I brine my turkey, and everybody raves about it. And I want to show you just how easy it is to do today. I've got 1 gallon of water in a pot here starting to get hot. And to it, I'm going to add 1 cup of brandy. Okay, and that can just go right in. And then I've got 1 cup of honey. I know everything seems like a lot. We're actually going to wind up with 2 gallons of liquid. And what needs to happen is the whole turkey needs to be submerged in liquid. So we are starting with a lot of liquid. Okay? So I've got a cup of honey, and then I've got a pound of salt, which is about 2 cups if you're going to measure. And that's going to go right in. And I'm going to add some aromatics to it, just in the form of some spices and herbs. And what I have here is I have some fresh thyme. Okay? I've got fresh sage. A few bay leaves, fresh or dry, your preference. If you're using fresh, you definitely want to use a few more. It's usually about a 3-to-1 ratio. And I've got some whole black peppercorns. And I have some juniper berries. And juniper berries they use for making gin. So it's got sort of like that almost pine aroma to it. And what's important to remember about all these things that we're adding is they're really just going to perfume it. Nothing is going to take center stage here. It's still going to taste like turkey, but we're going to have some nice aromatics in the background as you're tasting it. So I'm just going to tie this up in some cheesecloth. I'm doing that just because I don't want to fish it out of the brine afterwards. So it just makes it easier to discard when I'm done. I just have a piece of butcher's twine here. Just do a knot, and that's going to go right into our liquid as well with our honey and our brandy and our salt. And this needs to come up to a boil. Okay, which is only going to take a few minutes. Bring that up to a boil, give all those flavors a chance to marry. We're going to let it sit for 20 minutes, and then we're going to cool it down and get our turkey in there. All right, so it came up to a boil, my brine, with all the ingredients, and I've let it sit. I turned the heat off after it came up to boil, and I've let it sit for about 20 minutes just to give those flavors a final chance to marry. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move it into a larger pot. I have a pot large enough to hold the turkey. If you don't have a pot this large at home, you can go to a hardware store and just pick up a clean 5-gallon bucket. Just make sure it's something that can fit in your refrigerator. So I'm going to go ahead and add this, sachet and all, right to my large pot. And the liquid's still very, very warm. And I said in the beginning, we're looking for 2 gallons of liquid. So what I like to do, rather than letting this cool, because it's going to take probably 12 hours for this to cool as it is, I just take half of my water in the form of ice. So I started with 1 gallon of water, and I'm going to add ice right to it. Give that a quick stir. And that's just going to bring the temperature down quickly so I can go ahead and get my turkey right in there. As soon as the ice melts, I know we're going to be at the right temperature, and that should just take a couple of minutes. Okay, so my brine is set. I just want to make sure that we're no more than 50 degrees, and we're actually cooler than that, which is great. So we want to make sure, again, that our liquid is lower than 50 degrees before we add the turkey. Got my bird. It's already defrosted, and I'm just going to go ahead right in there, and I like to put it breast side down. The idea here, the brine serves a bunch of different purposes, and they're not going to work unless your bird is submerged. So I put it breast side down. It's okay if the back sticks up just a little bit. If you don't have enough liquid, it's fine to go ahead and just add a little bit more cold water just to make sure that your turkey is almost completely covered. And the beauty of the brine, what it does, it's going to impart all the flavors that we put in that brine, but also what it's going to do is it's going to keep that breast meat nice and tender. Because what happens when you're roasting a whole bird is the breast is always going to cook faster than the legs. So by the time the legs are done, sometimes that's when people run into the dry turkey. And what this does, it gives you insurance against that. By the time the legs are done, the breast is going to be done, but it's also going to be moist and juicy because of the salt and all the honey and the nice sugar. So you want to let this sit in the brine for 24 hours. Okay, 24 hours in the refrigerator, and then go ahead, take it out, rinse it, pat it dry, and then roast it just like you normally would. We've got another video online, shows you perfectly how to roast a turkey, but let me show you what a brine turkey looks like when it's coming out of the oven. Because I've got one right here. Oh, and it is gorgeous. And you can really tell just how dark that skin is, how nice and burnished it is. It almost looks like it's been lacquered. Okay, we know it's beautiful, it's juicy, but it's got that nice mahogany skin on it. And that's really attributed to the honey in the brine. So not only is it adding flavor, it's really going to allow your skin to caramelize. And who doesn't love crispy caramelized turkey skin? You got to try this honey brine turkey recipe at home. It couldn't be easier. If you don't have the time, you can always just pick up honey brine turkey breasts. We sell them right down in our meat department. But go ahead and try this. I'm telling you, it's going to be the most successful turkey you've ever made.